I do not want vaccines for my child because they contain heavy metals, which can be bad for their brain and other organs.
Can you tell me a little about what you have heard about heavy metals in vaccines?
Well, for starters, I heard on my Moms of Dallas Facebook page that vaccines contain aluminum, which can cause cancer and dementia. I want my child to be healthy, so I do not want to vaccinate.
I understand your concerns, and I want to address each one fully. Are you okay if I share some of what I know about aluminum in vaccines?
You can tell me, but I don't think I'm going to change my mind.
My job is not to change your mind, but to ensure you that you have the most accurate information to make an informed decision. You are right that aluminum salts are used as a component in some vaccines. This is because of the efforts to create a stronger and longer acting immune response from the body. The vaccines that contain aluminum contain an amount that is far less than what we consume in our everyday lives, with water or even breast milk for infants. There have been many studies proving the safety of administering aluminum containing vaccines, as well as the body's ability to process it without damage to the organs. I understand that was a lot of information. Do you have any questions?
Okay, that makes sense, but why is aluminum needed still if we have all of this new medical technology?
Aluminum is still needed in vaccines to maintain the highest level of vaccine efficacy, and just that way we can provide your child with the highest immunity possible to that virus.
I understand. That makes me feel better about the aluminum.
With this information, would you like to proceed with vaccination today?
Actually, yes, thank you for taking the time to explain it to me. I have a question. I heard that vaccines contain formaldehyde, like the stuff used in an anatomy lab. How is that safe?
Great question. Formaldehyde is utilized in the manufacturing process of many vaccines to inactivate the toxins or the virus. After this process, there remains trace amounts of formaldehyde. However, this level is well below the level known to cause harm in our bodies. In fact, our bodies naturally produce some formaldehyde with our metabolism. The amount that our bodies naturally produce is greater than what's left in the vaccines.
That is good to know. The idea of formaldehyde really scares me when I heard about it, but the way you have explained it makes a lot of sense.
I'm always happy to answer questions. I know it can be scary to not know or understand the things that are entering our bodies.
Most definitely. I appreciate you taking the time to educate me.
Of course. Do you have any other questions about vaccines that your child might be getting today?
No, you answered my only question. I am okay with proceeding. I do not want to vaccinate my child because I am against abortion, and I heard that they use aborted fetal cells.
I understand the use of fetal cells is a sensitive topic, but it is an important one to address. Can I tell you the current practice of vaccines?
You can. I just don't want to get into a debate about abortion.
I have no intention of changing your beliefs. I just want to provide you with all of the information regarding vaccines.
Okay.
Some vaccines on the recommended CDC schedule, including hepatitis A, rubella, which is a part of the MMR vaccine, and varicella, which is otherwise known as chickenpox, were made utilizing two lines of legally aborted fetal cells in the 1960s. The fetal cells served as a growth medium for the vaccines and were then purified after the vaccine. The two fetal cell lines have been maintained and have been reproduced. However, I want to assure you that there have been no new fetal cells or tissues used for vaccines, and no parts of the aborted fetal cells or tissues are in vaccines. Do you have any questions about this information? I know that was a lot.
So there are no fetal cells within the vaccines for sure?
Correct. The vaccines do not contain any fetal cells or fetal tissues. The aborted fetal cells are only used in the creation of the vaccine, but are not a component of the vaccine itself.
I understand. I am still not sure of the vaccines for my child because I am also Catholic, and it is something morally I am uncomfortable with.
I admire your connection to your faith. Do you know what the Catholic Church's stance on vaccines is by chance?
No, but I know they are against abortion. Do they feel vaccines are morally wrong?
No. In fact, the Catholic Church has even said that receiving vaccines created with the help of these two fetal cell lines are acceptable and morally okay.
That is good to know and makes me feel a lot better. This has been helpful, but I am still not sure where I stand with these vaccines. Can I go home and talk to my husband about it?
Absolutely. I will actually send you home with some peer-reviewed articles for both of you guys to have as a reference. We can set up a vaccine-only appointment for when you decide to get them, or we can create another appointment for you guys to sit and chat with me about it. How does that sound?
Great. I will talk to him about it tonight and call your office once we make a decision.
Perfect.
I just don't understand why my kid needs all these vaccines.
Vaccines are important for the protection against many viruses and diseases that are known to cause severe illness, requiring hospitalization, or that could even cause death. The vaccines allow the immune system to create a recognition system that allows the body to quickly recognize and respond to viruses effectively. All in all, vaccines are the best way to provide the protection for dangerous illnesses like meningitis, pertussis, or even the measles.
But I haven't heard of anyone getting any of those diseases in a long time. I thought they were gone.
Vaccination has greatly reduced the spread of those illnesses, but they're not completely eradicated. With the increase in travel, disease is easily transmitted across countries. Vaccines help to minimize host susceptibility, thus limiting the spread of illness.
That makes sense. But why does my child needs vaccines if there's not a current outbreak?
So, vaccines are critical in the prevention of an outbreak. With the high rate of vaccination, the disease is limited in its ability to circulate and cause illness in populations. Vaccines aid in the production of what's called herd immunity. Herd immunity aids in reducing the spread of disease for those who cannot have vaccines, such as newborns, immunocompromised individuals, or those with severe allergies to the vaccine components, or even older adults with weakened immune systems. With vaccination, we can prevent our children from contracting these dangerous illnesses and minimize the potential for harm among those around us. Does that help to answer your question?
Yes, I understand now. Thank you for showing me. I had no idea that is what vaccines were for. I will talk with my husband and schedule an appointment for vaccines once I speak with him.
Wonderful. If you have any questions about your healthcare plan, always feel free to ask.
Thanks. I totally understand that vaccines are needed when there is an outbreak, but why does my child need them if I've never had the disease? Like this hepatitis B vaccine. I've never had hepatitis.
I'm happy to tell you about it. Vaccines are still needed because even if the parent has not had the disease or the virus, the child is still vulnerable to others in the community. The illnesses that we've talked about recently, such as hepatitis B, are not completely eradicated, even though they aren't talked about as frequently.
Okay, but my baby won't be around anyone, so I don't think my baby needs it, right?
Well, contrary to popular thought, vaccines are crucial during this time, as babies are especially vulnerable to illnesses due to their developing immune system, and they're at a really high risk of disease complications. So even though your baby will be staying home with you, there is a risk of someone bringing it over to your house or your child getting it by even going to the grocery store with you. Vaccines help us to provide the early defense that the babies need in these situations.
Well, I don't want my brand new baby to get sick, so let's do the vaccines.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm not against vaccines, but with the most recent changes and everything I've been reading in the news, it makes me nervous. How do I know vaccines are safe for my kids?
I completely understand your concern. Vaccines go through a rigorous clinical trials and safety process before they're released to the public. They are going through an approval process, and then once they are approved, they go through four stages of clinical trials before they're available to the widespread community. The safety and efficacy of vaccines is monitored through the Vaccine Safety Data Link and the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. These systems allow scientists to continually evaluate for rare side effects and complications of the vaccines.
Okay, but how do we know that they're safe long term?
Great question. We can prove that vaccines are safe because there are decades of peer-reviewed data collection and studies that demonstrate the safety and efficacy of vaccines themselves.
Okay, but you mentioned side effects are being monitored. So what are the side effects to vaccines?
Vaccines commonly are associated with redness, swelling, mild pain around the injection site for 3 to 4 days, with fever, fatigue, muscle soreness, headaches, and body aches. So things that are associated with the virus and getting ill for itself. These last for about 24 to 48 hours. More serious side effects are rare, but they can include anaphylactic allergic reactions, seizures, changes in the baby's cry, severe swelling of the affected limb, or a fever greater than 105. These reactions are important to note to your healthcare provider as well as the VAERS system for monitoring. But again, I want to reiterate that these reactions are very rare, and the small chance of reaction far outweighs the risk of the disease itself.
I really appreciate you giving me all of this information. I feel a lot more comfortable with proceeding with vaccination today.
Great. I will provide you with the vaccine information sheets for each vaccine your child will get today so that you can read through them a little bit more and as the nurse prepares the vaccines. If you have any questions or any questions arise, please let one of us know so we can provide you with accurate information.
Thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.